All right, are you ready for part 2? Here is your cue card. You will have 1 minute to prepare, and then you can speak for up to 2 minutes, you should say. Who is this person? How you know this person? Why do you think this person is energetic? And explain how you feel about this person.
Okay, the topic is describing an energetic person. Let's hear that Band-Aid answer first. Test taker, Band-Aid. I'd like to talk about my friend Daniel, who is one of the most energetic people I know. I met him in college, and we became good friends because we were in the same class. Daniel is always full of energy and enthusiasm. He wakes up early every day, goes for a run, and then attends classes or works on his projects. Even after a long day, he still has the energy to hang out with friends or play sports. I think he is energetic because he takes care of his health by exercising regularly and eating healthy food. He also has a positive attitude, which keeps him motivated and active all the time. I really admire Daniel because his energy is contagious. Whenever I spend time with him, I feel more motivated to be productive and take better care of myself.
Nice.
I mean, it flowed well, hit all the points, right?
Yeah, definitely a solid Band-Aid answer. But let's see how that same story can be elevated to a Band 9.
All right, bring on the Band 9. Test taker, Band 9. I'd like to describe my cousin, Priya, who is incredibly energetic and full of life. I've known her since childhood as we grew up together in the same neighborhood. Priya juggles multiple responsibilities effortlessly. She works as a teacher during the day, volunteers at a local charity in the evenings, and still finds time to pursue her hobbies like dancing and painting. She's always on the move and seems to have endless energy. I believe her energy comes from her passion for everything she does. She genuinely enjoys her work and hobbies, which keeps her motivated. Additionally, she follows a disciplined lifestyle with regular exercise and mindfulness practices that help her stay active both physically and mentally. I deeply respect Priya because her energy inspires everyone around her. She shows that with determination and enthusiasm, it's possible to balance work, personal interests, and social contributions effectively.
See? It goes beyond just listing activities. It really explores the source of Priya's energy.
Right. You get a sense of her passion, her discipline, and mindfulness. The language is richer, too. It just makes the whole story come alive.
It really does. You can see how choosing the right words can make such a big impact.
Okay, so that was part 2 of the IELTS speaking exam. Now, get ready for part 3, where things get a little more challenging. We'll delve into some tougher questions that require deeper thinking and more nuanced responses.
This is where our test taker really gets to show off those analytical skills, connecting broader concepts to the personal story they shared in part 2. It's a whole new level of communication.
All right, so part 3. This is where things get really interesting. We move from personal storytelling to broader discussions.
Right. The questions get a little tougher, and it's a chance for the test taker to show off their critical thinking skills.
I'm ready. Are you?
Absolutely. Let's see what the examiner throws at our test taker.
Now we will move on to part 3, which involves a discussion about the topic you just talked about. Are you ready? Test taker, Band 8. Yes, I am ready. Do you think machines could replace human workers in the future? Test taker, Band 8. Yes, I think machines might replace some human workers in the future, especially for jobs that are repetitive or need a lot of physical effort. But there are some jobs where human skills are still important.
Okay, so they acknowledged both sides, automation and the value of human skills. Pretty good.
Yeah, definitely a solid Band-Aid answer. But how about we hear how that same thought can be expressed at a Band 9 level?
I'm ready for it. Test taker, Band 9. Machines are likely to replace human workers in certain industries where tasks are repetitive or require precision, such as manufacturing or data processing. However, roles that involve creativity, emotional intelligence, or complex problem solving will still require human involvement. See the examples. It makes the answer much clearer and more convincing.
Right. And it shows a deeper understanding of which jobs are more likely to be automated. Okay, next question.
Can physical workers receive higher salaries in the future? Test taker, Band 8. It's possible for physical workers to get higher salaries if their jobs are very hard or require special skills, but usually mental work is paid more than physical work.
Okay, so again, they've considered the possibilities. But let's see that Band 9 response.
I'm curious how they'll frame it this time. Test taker, Band 9. Physical workers may receive higher salaries in the future if their roles demand specialized skills or involve high-risk environments. However, overall trends suggest that mental work often commands higher pay due to its complexity and impact on organizational success. Now, that answer really puts things in perspective, you know? It connects personal circumstances with the bigger picture of the labor market.
It's not just an opinion. It's backed by a real understanding of economic trends.
Yeah.
Okay, next question.
What's the difference between the payment for physical work and that for mental work? Test taker, Band 8. Physical work usually pays less because it doesn't need as much education or training as mental work. Mental work often needs more skills and qualifications, so it's paid more.
That was a good, clear explanation.
But I bet that Band 9 answer will blow us away again. Test taker, Band 9. The key difference lies in skill requirements and value creation. Physical work often involves manual labor with lower educational prerequisites, leading to comparatively lower pay. Mental work typically requires advanced skills or expertise and contributes significantly to decision-making processes, resulting in higher compensation. Wow, that's interesting.
Right. Instead of focusing just on education, the Band 9 answer talks about skill requirements and value creation. It's a much more sophisticated way to look at it.
Okay, last question for this part of the exam ring.
Right, let's hear it.
What kinds of jobs need a lot of physical work? Test taker, Band 8. Jobs like construction workers, farmers, factory workers, or delivery drivers need a lot of physical effort because they involve lifting heavy things or working long hours.
Okay, straight to the point, clear and direct.
Yeah, no messing around. But now, the Band 9 answer. Test taker, Band 9. Jobs requiring substantial physical effort include construction work, agriculture, mining, manufacturing roles in factories, and logistics positions like delivery drivers or warehouse staff. These roles often demand stamina, strength, and long working hours. Did you catch that? It's not just a list, it's organized into categories.
Right. It makes it so much easier to follow and really grasp the different types of physical work out there.
And the vocabulary roles, positions, it adds a layer of sophistication that really stands out.
Wow, some really insightful stuff in those Band 9 answers.
Yeah, it's amazing how a few tweaks in language can make such a difference. But even the Band 8 answers were pretty solid,
Yes,
right?
definitely. So what can our listeners take away from this, even if they're not planning to take the IELTS exam?
Well, I think the key takeaway is the importance of clear, precise communication. Being able to express yourself in a way that is easy to follow, whether you're answering exam questions or just chatting with a friend, it's a skill that can benefit you in any situation.
It's like building a house, right? You need a strong foundation of good vocabulary and grammar.
Absolutely. But you also need a good framework, a solid structure to hold everything together.
Right. And just like a well-built house, good communication is going to last and leave a strong impression.
Exactly. Another thing that struck me was how the Band 9 answers used examples and evidence to support their ideas.
Oh, yeah. They didn't just state an opinion. They backed it up with solid reasons.
Right. They connected their points to bigger trends, gave specific examples. It's like explaining why you liked a movie, not just saying, oh, it was good.
Yeah, if you can give reasons, explain why you think what you think, people are more likely to understand and agree with you. So any tips for our listeners who want to improve their communication skills?
You know, one thing I'd say is to become a more conscious listener. Pay attention to how other people communicate, both the good and the bad.
Kind of like training your ear to recognize what works and what doesn't, right?
Exactly. And as you start noticing those details, start using them in your own conversations. Try out different ways of expressing yourself. Don't be afraid to experiment a bit.
Yeah, the more you practice, the more confident you'll become, right?
Absolutely. You might even find yourself speaking at a Band 9 level in everyday life.
Wouldn't that be great? To be able to communicate clearly, confidently, and make an impact with your words.
Imagine the possibilities.
Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive.
We had a lot of fun exploring the IELTS speaking exam and learning how to become better communicators.
And remember, listeners, communication is a skill anyone can develop. Keep practicing, keep learning, and most importantly, keep talking. Thanks for joining us.